Hello, this is Linda. Welcome to Maker's Fire. Today I'm going to be continuing my trilogy of Breath of the Wild items. And today's project is going to be a Blupee Plush. To make this little friend, I of course first needed to have a pattern. And I am not specialized at making plush patterns. I make more clothing, so this was a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I had a very good resource that I could learn from. There is a repository of free patterns online called Nunodo. This is absolutely an amazing resource, whether you want to just find a pattern yourself and follow it exactly as it is, or if you want to study some plush and doll patterns so you can learn to make them yourself. These patterns were invaluable in helping me to learn a little bit more about the construction of a plush pattern, like the parts that would typically make up a plush pattern, where seams would typically be placed, how to create certain shapes and forms. So I created my pattern about 90% by myself from scratch, except the hind legs are essentially copied from one of Nuno's free patterns for a kitten, because I wasn't very confident in making that specific part myself, and I probably wouldn't have been able to make it as good as the one that Nuno already had. So I adapted that pattern piece from her pattern to fit my pattern that I had already mostly constructed for the Blupee. So then I had to find fabrics for it. So here are the cut out pattern pieces. They are made of 3 different kinds of fabric because the Blupee has a couple of different colors and textures on it. And an important thing to note here is the face pieces. I have 2 face pieces. One of them is slightly larger and darker, and the other is lighter and smaller. And the lighter, smaller piece has the outline of the Blupee's nose hand sewn onto it for reference. And you will see why that is in just a little bit. So the first steps that I took in sewing were sewing the darts in the main body pieces to give the head area a little bit of roundness, doing the same thing with the hind leg outside pieces, and attaching the lighter, smaller face piece to the darker, larger one. I sewed specifically along the path that I had hand sewn as reference. And this path goes right around the nose of the Blupee, and this will be very significant in just a bit because of this. I have a few pieces of a stiff felt, and they're just the right size to go in this area that was bordered by the stitching. That is also holding the face pieces together right now. So I put those in there, and later I will completely attach the lighter face piece to the darker one. And of course I have some button eyes on there right now too. I then sewed the hind leg pieces together, the outside and inside hind leg pieces to the corresponding feet. And for the forelegs, the outside foreleg is part of the main body piece, so all I had to do was attach the feet to that. And the inside foreleg, they both attach to either side of the belly piece with the corresponding feet sewn onto there, of course. And this is where it starts to get a little bit complicated because I started assembling everything and sewing the main body pieces to the belly piece, which has the inside foreleg pieces attached to it. Then I sewed the inside hind leg piece to the outside hind leg pieces, which were previously sewn onto the main body piece. Now with the body coming together, I sewed the face onto the body, and the front, a lighter face piece was still not completely attached. So to attach it, I just used some craft glue around the edges, making sure to be neat and tidy about it, and let that dry before continuing. I then sewed the back piece onto the body of the Blupee, and that completed it, so it was time to turn it right side out through this hole that I had left when sewing the belly piece to the inside hind leg piece. I then made the tail, which was very simple. It's just two flat pieces. They were sewn together around the edge, turned right side out, and stuffed. So here is your first look at the Blupee turned right side around. I left some small holes into some of the head seams to insert the Blupee's horns or antlers, whatever you would call them. Anyway, I made the horns or antlers out of armature wire, which was covered in some white hem tape, and the leaves, if that's what they are, were made from some organza ribbon, which I colored on the tips of. So I had yellow organza ribbon, and I used some orange and red alcohol-based markers to color the tips orange. And finally, here is our glowy hoppy friend, all stuffed and with the tail attached afterwards as a separate piece. I just hand stitched the stuffed tail onto the stuffed body. I guess for some added fun, you could put a secret compartment inside the Blupee, kind of like a soft piggy bank, so you could actually literally get coins or any kind of money or jewels or something valuable out of it, like they actually give you in the game. But for now, I am happy to just have this soft little friend sitting on my shelf. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you actually make any of these projects yourself, I would love to see them. Please send them to me. And if you liked the video, of course, like and maybe subscribe. Any links are in the description, and I hope to see you again soon.